Welcome. Today in Adam's Reserve Kitchen, we're going to be making a little bit of tomato bisque. The way the tomatoes pair up with this cheese is just extraordinary. The most difficult part about this is really just getting the vegetables cut up. So we're going to start with some onions, garlic, and carrots. We're going to sweat that out until it's really nice and tender. So we're just going to dice these onions up. This onion is a little larger than I need for the total recipe. So I'm going to use half of it, save the other half for dinner. All right, so just any type of cut for this onion because we're going to puree this whole soup when it's done. So we're going to get those into a pot or a pan. We're going to cut up this carrot into just same thing, just rough cut. Something you can stir around and let it sweat out. All right, a little bit of garlic. Garlic is kind of underappreciated, and people put it in everything, but too many times they don't use a good garlic. So find yourself a good garlic supplier. This is actually grown by one of my friends. It's a nice hard-neck garlic. It doesn't take much, but I never ever buy chopped garlic. So we'll just chop this up a little bit. You could crush it if you'd like. All right, so as you can see, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, and you just want to sweat these out nice and gentle until they're really nice and tender. We're going to add our tomatoes to this. Careful not to splash. And be sure and get all the goodness out of your tomato. No point in taking that and throwing it in the garbage. We're going to put this back on, bring it up to a simmer. Check our carrots, make sure the carrots are fully tender. That's going to be the main part of making sure that this is done. So let's bring it up to a simmer. While that's simmering, I want to talk to you guys about the tomatoes. You know, the balance between this dish is really the cheddar and the tomatoes, and I think it's really important to find a brand that you like the flavor of. So many of them have too much acidity, some have too much depth of flavor, but be sure you find a good whole plum tomato, peeled Italian tomatoes, Italian style. Anything of that nature. Just test out a few brands, find the ones you like. What I really like about this is these tomatoes have a rich, deep flavor, and the Adam's Reserve New York Extra Sharp Cheddar really fights with it and brings out a lot more in your face than you would with a lighter style tomato or with a weaker style cheese. So let's check on this and see how it's coming along. Okay, this has been simmering about 5 minutes now. I'd sweat those onions and carrots down really well in the beginning, so the carrots were already pretty tender. We're going to transfer this into our blender. You could use an immersion blender, a little stick blender if you'd like to. You can try it in a food processor, but a good blender works magic on this. All right, we're going to puree it, and then we're going to season it afterwards. Don't forget to use your lid. Just a couple of seconds in the blender, get it all nice and smooth, and then we're going to start adding our other ingredients. I've got some basil here, just going to rough that. I've got a little bit of balsamic vinegar, touch of salt, our Adam's Reserve cheddar. We're going to give this another little whirl right before we add our cream. All right, we'll give it a little taste because this is the time to adjust. Just a pinch more salt. Let me grab my cream. Just a touch of cream, and the cream really just helps smooth it out. I could almost tell you that it was optional. Just a brief blend. And that's it. One of my favorite soups. Cold day. Right into a bowl. cut up just a touch more basil for the top of it. Sprinkle it on. Wipe the rim. Finish the grilled cheese with Adams Reserve cheddar, of course, and call the kids. Find this recipe in the recipe section, adamsreserve.com.